Hello, everyone. Thank you so much to the Jesus, the Alpha and Omega Christian Church for inviting me to deliver this presentation. So, for this time, I will be giving you a talk about effective empathic communication. So, just before we start, perhaps I would like to introduce myself. I am Cedric Joseph Mandap. You can just call me Ced, no? By the way, this is just a little bit of my introduction. For my affiliations, I am a psychology professor in Mapua Malayan Colleges, Mindanao. I also do part-time wellness coaching in Healthcare Incorporated. I am also a consultant psychologist for Regional Alternative Childcare Committee for Region 11, and also both a professional resource speaker and motivational coach. Okay, so for the objectives of this talk, this will allow you to engage, to reflect more about empathetic and compassionate leadership, to also ask some questions for you to do self reflection, and also to deliver my short talk about effective empathetic communication. All right. So now let's go with the psychology of emotional and cognitive empathy. Empathy is a very broad term. We usually use this, especially when we connect with other people. It's more of a cognitive and emotional reaction of an individual, a person, to the observed experiences of another person. So it's more of being with the person. Okay? You are trying to understand his or her own thought, understand her narrative, mga pinagdadaanan niya sa buhay, understand where she is coming from or where he is coming from. While sympathy, on the other hand, is feeling for the person. It's a feeling of concern for someone else and a desire that they become happier or better off. So, more of like, you're trying to feel the sadness of the person. Oh, kawawa siya. Oh, it's so bad. You feel bad for the person. But empathy is deeper than sympathy. Okay, later on I will give more examples for you to understand better what is empathy. So, the psychology of effective empathy is when we communicate, we try to understand the feelings of the person. Okay, it involves actively listening towards a person, acknowledging their emotions, and responding in a way that shows how you care for them. Okay, so empathetic communication is the exchange of ideas or information that is based on understanding others' emotions and perspective. So this requires emotional intelligence because I guess showing empathy is not easy sometimes. When we communicate empathy, there should be a proper way, and at the same time, we had to look for something that will help us become more effective. No? And at the same time, we care for ourselves because when we try to empathize, minsan kasi nauubos tayo. Okay, minsan kasi na-absorb natin. No? Meron tayong kasabihan na we cannot give what we don't have. So you had to fill your cup first before you could give, before you could empathize to another person. Okay? So why empathy is important in effective communication? Empathetic communication or empathic communication involves both accepting and allowing different perspectives and emotions in other people and also sharing it with them that will enable them to be more encouraged and them to receive support. So, empathy will deepen your relationship as you connect with his friends, with his loved ones, because you're trying now to understand where this person coming from. Bakit kaya ganito yung lungkot niya? Yung pain, asan galing? Yung suffering niya, ano ba yung pinagdadaanan ng person nito? Empathy can extend to people you don't know as well. If you saw someone sitting alone at a party, for example, you might empathize with their loneliness and chat with them. As a therapist myself, no, as a well-being coach, one fundamental practice that we do is empathic understanding, wherein kailangan naming tignan saan ba nanggagaling yung person. No, it's a skill we could develop ourselves. We could hone that skill. It's more genuine, it's more deeper. You're trying to connect with the person deeper. in an aspect na alam mo bakit ganito yung sakit, bakit ganito yung sugat, no, ng pain na ng kanyang pinagdadaanan. Kaya hindi siya madali, no. It's not really easy. It really requires emotional intelligence, no. It requires endurance as well to you as a person. So later on, I will also share some insights on how we could show empathy to different types of people, different age groups. So why effective communicating empathy is important? Empathy should be done, no, effectively, should be communicated in a proper way. Having empathy will enable us to build these social connections, no, to one another. You build your connection to your churchmate. You build your connection to your parent, you build your connection to your children, to your friends, no? It's something that could strengthen our relationships with one another. Might it be in church, might it be in our workplace, might it be in our family, in our home. That's why to communicate it effectively is vital, no, for our relationships to flourish. Empathy or communicating effective empathy allows us to feel connected to others is usually important for our optimal well-being. It is the very basis of our human relationships and help us to feel valued, loved, and cared for. Um, it's good that we could receive empathy also from other people. No, that's why pag may mga bata tayo, if we have children, no, if we have friends, we could teach this to them. We could practice it, and at the same time, we will allow ourselves to receive it because sometimes we also need it. Empathy is something that should be reciprocated, no, in times na kailangan din naman natin yun. Okay? So how does we show or how do we show effective empathy? So may mga statements dito like I'm here for you no matter what. It sounds like you did everything you could do. I know how you feel and that must have been really tough for you. So these thoughts, this communicating lines could show or could effectively show that you empathize for the person. So, again, yung nasabi ko sa practice, no, being a therapist, we communicate empathic understanding. So, how do we do it? First is we actively listen towards the person. So, we let the person vent out, air out, no? Ano yung mga pinagdadaanan niya? We allow them to share to us without interrupting them. No, we do allow them to express their sentiments, their hardships, the things that they're going through. Number two is you imagine if you yourself were them in their position. Through this understanding where they're coming from, we allow ourselves, no, to connect with the person. Because if we cannot connect with the feelings of the person, empathy will not be effectively communicated. No, the person will not feel that we are genuinely interested to his or her life. That's why we had to put ourselves in their position. Number three, don't feel bad for them. Understand them. Self-pitying is not really that effective. Or pitying for another person is really not effective. It's more about a feeling for the person only. 'Di ba? Yun yung sympathy. Self-pity. Sympathy. But when we put ourselves in their shoes, we will now try to understand them. Number four, offer support, not just sympathy. Yun nga yung sabi ko. Okay? Support when it comes to their wellness, their well-being. We offer patience. We offer um, we offer time to them to listen. We also suggest what they can do. We give recommendations or advice sometimes of how could they help themselves as well, no? Nagbibigay tayo ng mga lines wherein can help them in times of crisis or pangangailangan nila. Number five is you summarize what they stated and how they're feeling so that they know that you understand them. So this skill is known as paraphrasing, no, in counseling. Sometimes when we do this, it's just to let us understand that they communicated na-communicate nila ng klaro sa atin, na talagang nagigets natin ano ba yung gusto niyang sabihin. sometimes we allow people, or we ask no these questions. So we just clarify, no? We allow them to paraphrase ano ba yung sinasabi nila. Okay? Or sometimes nag-a-ask tayo ng questions. We probe sometimes. Ay, ito ba yung ibig sabihin? Mas ma-ask ko lang, no? Sometimes ba, nafe-feel mo na ganito, ganyan? Ito ba yung pain? No? We ask that sometimes, no? And in that way, we feel that they feel that we are genuinely interested to them. We are building emotional connections to one another. We strengthen our bond to each other. They can feel that they wanted to be heard. That's why we do this, no? Okay, that is how we can show effective empathy. So, how could we foster effective empathy to oneself? We also have our relationship to ourselves, and that is interpersonal relationship. Self-empathy means that an aspect of yourself observes in an empathic manner, okay, the aspect of yourself that experiences. This is done with an attitude of suspended judgment and openness towards yourself. So you're open to your experiences, you're open to your feelings, you validate your emotions. Self-empathy simply requires you to notice and recognize what is happening to you. Self-reflection is the key to self-empathy. We also need this. We just don't give it to other people. Kailangan din natin to. Self-compassion is linked to increased feelings of happiness, optimism, curiosity, and connectedness, as well as decreased levels of anxiety, depression, rumination, and fear of failure. So, in order for us to still keep going on in life, mentally well, to have an optimal well-being and wellness, we should practice this one. No? So self-empathy is something that we should give to ourselves as well. Okay? We listen more to ourselves, to our feelings. We understand situations, no? We listen more to ourselves. Intrapersonal relationships. Later I will share you some, some tips on how we could show self-empathy. So sometimes people do not have self-empathy. Okay, what are the causes of this? Sometimes it could be genetics, no, or a characteristic that we inherited from our parents, no. But of course, there are also personal factors, not just genetical or biological factors as well to help us improve our empathy. Environment as well could be a factor, like a trauma happened to you, like in your early childhood, a disease, no, sometimes if you have a mental health disorder like sociopathy or psychopathy, no, this could be associated with lack of empathy. And sometimes when things are very tough, when things are very hard, it's hard for us to give empathy to ourselves. Also, negative self-talk could be a factor, no? Like, for example, you're saying to yourself, I am a failure. You failed to present something. You failed to do a task, no? I am a failure. I look ugly today, no? Sometimes we tend to compare ourselves to other people, no? It's a detriment to our self-empathy in giving empathy towards ourselves. Everyone's life is better than mine. So when we compare too much and our expectations do not meet to what we are currently are, more likely we could experience this. No? But this can lead to anxiety, depression, sadness, loneliness, hopelessness. I am always like this. So it's more of, wala na ba talagang future? Ganito na ba talaga ako palagi? I am hopeless. People don't like me. So these are negative self-talk that we could counter, that we could dispute, no? In cognitive behavioral therapy, we could always dispute this negative self-talk. Here are 4 ways to be kinder to yourself and build self-empathy. Because like what I've said, you cannot give what you don't have. Number 1, talk to yourself like you talk to yourself. Like you talk to your friends. Okay, basically, if you wouldn't say it to your best friend, don't say it to yourself. Okay? So it's more of like treat yourself as if you are another person. Number 2, practice mindfulness to eliminate self-judgment. So you are living in your present time. Future is not yet determined, no? Past is unnecessary stress. Past is already done. Focus right now. Focus right now. because you're living your present time. That is mindfulness. You try to let go of those past experiences. You try to don't overthink too much of the future. You live your present time. That is mindfulness. Be present. Be now. Number three, you forgive yourself. Well, life could give us a lot of things that we could regret. You try to be more kinder to yourself by telling yourself it's okay. I learned from this. I learned from this. This is just a learning curve. Charge this to experience those things, no? Those things. We can counteract the negative things that happened in our past and just allow it to be an experience for us to do better next time. Okay, because you learn from those mistakes, you learn from those things that happened to you in the past, no? Just charge it to experience. Number four, don't compare yourself too much to other people, because when we compare too much to other people, there are always people na mas magaling pa sa atin. May mga tao na mas matalino sa atin, may mga tao na mas maganda yung buhay sa atin, may mga tao na mas mayaman sa atin. Ganun talaga yung life, no? Don't over compare too much to yourself. Instead, you focus to your own progress. Okay? And that way, you build more self-empathy. You build more connection to yourself. Okay? Alright. Here are some reflection questions that, allow you to reflect more to your current life. If you are still having self-empathy, or if you need to build more self-empathy, number one, are you kind to yourself? Napapabayaan mo ba yung sarili mo lately? May mga aspect ba, like, hindi ka na masyadong natutulog, or kulang ka sa pagkain, no? Or masyado ka namang kumain, hindi na healthy yung foods na mga kinakain mo. Number two, how do you treat your body and mind? These two things, body and mind, goes hand in hand together. Kung hindi okay yung body natin, it can affect our mind. If our mind is not that well, it can affect also our body. So these two things should be optimized. No? These two things should be considered equally. No? Holistic. We should keep our body and mind healthy. Number three, do you practice gratitude and self-compassion? Do you still kind to yourself? Do you still practice self-compassion? Okay lang yan, self. Okay lang yan. Aabot din tayo dyan. Okay lang yan, self. You've learned your lesson. Do you practice this positive self-talk from time to time? Are you kind to yourself? Like, do you give yourself rest, sleep, kung kailangan? Number four, what are your self-care activities? Self-care activities are important and vital to our mental health. Through self-care activities, we could recuperate, we could recover. No? Self-care activities should be enhanced. People have different self-care activities. Okay? Sometimes they treat themselves to something really nice, like a good food. They sometimes work out, exercise, no? They sometimes do self-care, like magpapamanicure, pedicure, no? A good haircut, magpapasalon. Yung mga bagay na yun, those are self-care. It's an act of self-love. Okay? Through that, we are trying to understand and also considering us ourselves, no? Tao din tayo. Number five, are there times that you tend to abuse yourself? Like, again, you overwork too much, you overdrink too much, vices, no? Or lack of self-care. This can be some of the questions that you could ask yourself now. Okay? I'm just going to share to you this wonderful therapy, cognitive behavior therapy. Well, you could practice this, no, if you have time, if you could do this. Sometimes we could dispute negative thoughts, negative experiences that happen to us, and create an alternative reality or thought. In that way, it can lessen the instances of feeling depressed or anxious. No? This is how it actually works. So there is a situation, a negative situation that you could think of what happened to you. For example, is you get fired from the job. No, example, or nawalan ka ng trabaho. Your thought or your automatic thought could say that you're a failure, no, or sira na buhay ko. No, some people can say that, no. Then how truthful are these thoughts? You're trying to evaluate, no? How truthful is this? Kapag ba wala akong trabaho, Kapag ba nawalan ako ng work, hindi na ako makakuha ng another work or another job? Is this the final destination for me? Na wala na talaga akong work? You try to validate, no? How truthful is this? From 1 to 10. 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, no? Yung thought na yon na meron ka, na failure ka. Talaga bang failure ka na? Talaga bang wala nang tatanggap sa'yo na employer? You try to validate that. You rate that. Next part here is alternative thoughts. You could try to create another way of seeing it, another perspective to view that thought you have on hand. Alternative thoughts. You could like find another more suitable career for you, change of workplace, more peace of mind, no? You could redirect your career, you could plan ahead, you could do another things, no? Kasi parang sobrang bombarded ka sa work mo, so wala kang time to doing things that you like to do. So you could try to dispute that by having this alternative thoughts, no? Kapag wala akong trabaho ngayon, what can I do? Wala akong work, no? Pwede ako mag-apply sa ibang mga workplace. Pwede kong i-change yung career path ko. Pwede ko pang gawin yung mga hobbies ko ngayon. How truthful are these thoughts? So, you can also rate as well or validate also your alternative thoughts. Okay? So, this is CBT. We are disputing negative thoughts. We are disputing our thoughts, no? Ano yung nangyayari sa atin? If it's rational or irrational. Try this one. This could really help you so much. So now, let's focus to how to practice empathy in everyday living. I guess empathy is a virtue. We should live by this, not just in situations, but we should normalize it in everyday life. Number 1 is we speak with kindness. Kind words reflect your soul. Kind words reflect who you are as a person. It's more of a reflection, a projection of how your life is going on so far. If a person is not that good to you, if the person is telling you harsh things, you think that the person has gone through so much. May mga pinagdadaanan yung person na yun. Kasi again, how you share yourself or how you put yourself in the environment, what your mouth will speak is a reflection of your soul right now. So, speak with kindness, no? Number 2 is apologize when you made a mistake. Saying sorry is something na hindi dapat tayo nagpapadala sa pride, no? Hindi tayo magsasorry kasi nga mababawasan yung pride natin, no? You know what? Pride will just feed your ego. It will not feed your soul. When you apologize, wala namang nawawala sa'yo eh. You're letting go of that negative emotion or thought. Say sorry. No? Apologize if needed. Through that, you let go that emotion. Through that, you are becoming kind to other people. You understand also other people. Number 3, listen carefully and without judgment. In showing empathy to other people, the key here is active listening. Active listening and accepting the person, no, for who he or she is. When we show empathy to other people, we also look to their own narratives. Ano yung mga pinagdadaanan nila? Mahirap yung buhay nila. Mahirap yung mga circumstances sa buhay niya ngayon. Nagawa niya ito kasi kinailangan niya. Kahit na may bias tayo, sometimes when we show empathy, we should try to understand where they're coming from again and again. Bakit niya kaya nagawa nito? Number 4, encourage other people as well. So we give encouragement to other people. We allow them to be more productive, no? We allow them to make solutions to their own problems, no? We allow them to find solutions, no? We allow them to be more encouraged individuals that they could overcome what they're going through. Number 5, offer to help someone with a task. So this one is more of we are trying to give alternate solutions. When we offer to help someone with a task, we are trying to assist a person, no? We are trying to help the person, no? In our own acts of gestures. Number 6, be happy for someone else's success. So jealousy can sometimes icky, guys, no? Na hindi tayo nagiging masaya sa ibang tao, no? We become insecure sometimes, no? But if we practice being happy for someone else's success, hindi na ganun mahirap for us to accept our current situation. Kasi pag nagko-compare tayo, ay buti pa siya ganito, buti siya, malaki yung sweldo sa work, ganyan. Maging happy ka, no? Yeah, ganun. 'Di ba? Wow, it's so great, it's so nice, no? Maganda yung nagiging happy ka sa mga successes ng mga friends mo. Hindi ka naiinggit. Though it's a challenge, I know, mahirap minsan, but in practice, if you are grateful to what you have right now, kung grateful ka, kung anong meron ka ngayon, later on, eventually, hindi na mahirap sa'yo yun. Okay? Number 7, accept people for who they are. We try to accept people where they're coming from, the differences of you and the person. You understand na hindi kayo magkaparehas. Iba kayo ng mga pinagdadaanan, iba rin kayo ng narratives, no? Iba rin yung perspective mo at opinion ninyo sa buhay. May mga sarili na kayong mga paninindigan. So in that way, you understand that you are different, the person is also different. Number 8, you forgive people for making mistakes. Like you yourself as a human, you commit mistakes. Other people can also commit mistakes. And in that way, you practice empathy because you allow them to become human. You allow them na minsan, nagkakaroon din sila ng mga shortcomings. You understand them. Okay? So, here are some of the reflection questions na pwede nyo namang isipin, no? In your own way, how can you practice effective empathy to your friends, co-workmates, community, and family? Try to reflect on these questions. Number 2 is, how do you empathize someone who is struggling, hurt, or suffering? So, mahirap, di ba, minsan, kapag yung isang tao or the other person is nasasaktan, no? Struggling with something, how would you empathize with that? And how do we show empathy to someone who is aggressive and shows hatred in the people or in the world? So, mahirap, siguro challenging, to show empathy kapag galit yung tao sa mundo. Galit yung tao sa'yo, no? How would you show your empathy to them? So, try to reflect on these questions, no? This can be challenges for us in showing effective empathy to others. These are some of the ways on how to communicate effective empathy to different age groups. Of course, we interact with people in different walks of life. To children, okay, how do we show effective empathy? To be patient, explain their misbehavior and irrationality. No? Sometimes, we just try to let the person or yung bata, na magalit, hanggang sa mapagod siya. But you know what? It's also good that we explain to them, why are you frustrated? We talk to them like an individual. We let them understand their behavior. Okay? Show love and concern in their presence. So I guess this is helpful, especially for people or for children, na they are just being adopted, they just don't understand yet their current situations, no. In my experience as a psychologist, for this children, fostering unconditional love will help an adopted child really to adjust, no. And once nalaman na niya yung kanyang current status na hindi talaga siya biological child, then therefore, hindi siya mahihirapan mag-adjust kasi nga na-nurture siya ng maayos. No? Nabigyan siya ng enough love and concern. Next is be a good role model and integrate values to their day-to-day life. So, as a parent, important that we serve as a good role model to them. No? Next is to teenagers. There will be changes in their mood and personality because of genetics. No? So it's good that we support their dreams, their endeavors, and aspirations. In this stage, they are trying to build themselves. Be a good role model as well, partnered with right discipline. Kasi nagbabago-bago na yung hormonal changes levels nila, so yung mood nila minsan nagbabago-bago with the influence also of friends. So kailangan ng right discipline. Hindi lang natin sila pinipermit kahit saan. And again, good role model pa rin dapat tayo. To adults, We should provide emotional support and guidance to their decisions. So we understand where they're coming from and practice forgiveness as well. So for adults, medyo challenging na yung buhay, no? Real life, ika nga na, di ba? Pag adults na, kailangan na nila ng talagang i-focus kung saan ba talaga yung pupuntahan nila. May mga instances na they will fail eventually. Giving proper support, empathy, guidance also towards them could help them. Understand them. Forgive them kapag nagkakaroon sila ng shortcomings. To veterans or seniors, sa mga veterans natin, it's good that we show gratitude and unconditional love towards them. Kasi minsan, there could be behaviors that could not really go with our own set of behaviors. They sometimes have this, mindset already na difficult for us to sometimes understand them. So be patient and assist them in their needs. Take some time to listen and talk to them, no? Kailangan din naman nila minsan, some of them just need someone na makakausap, no? They just want to communicate also with people, no? And overall, show respect and love to them. Respeto talaga. Yun ang pinakamahalaga sa lahat. Okay, this is how we effectively show empathy to these age groups. In the family, no? Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, and a crucial trait for building meaningful relationships and fostering emotional intelligence. Being empathic simply means that we care and consider how each member of the family feels. So para bang naiintindihan mo yung pinagdadaanan ng mother mo, ng father mo ngayon, bawat member ng family, you try to understand their experience, no? Their hurts, their pains, no? Their emotions, saan ba nanggagaling yun? Yung experiences nila. For children naman, here are some ways of effectively showing empathy. Number 1, be a role model. May isang proverb or may isang quote from the Bible that says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." So when you become a good role model, we try to build values in their formative years, no? 4 to 5 years old kasi meron tayong mga iba't ibang kailangan, mga formative years. They should learn these values in their life, no? So we should try to become a role model towards them. Number 2 is how to show empathy at home. So empathy involves understanding another person's perspective and feelings. So you can do this by asking open-ended questions like, how do you think your friend felt when that happened? No? So building empathy or showing empathy is again knowing or understanding their perspectives and feelings, yung mga miyembro sa bahay ninyo. Number 3 is you teach active listening. Active listening is a fundamental skill in building empathy. So, yeah, for children, we should be more patient in listening to them. Kasi mama, ganito, ganyan. Kasi inaway ako ni ganito, ganyan. We listen to them. We listen to their hurt, to their pain, to their experiences. Mapahappy man yan or maging let's say, difficult man yan. Like, let's say, naka-perfect ako sa isang exam na ganito, ganyan. Malaki yung score ko from teacher. We listen, no? We listen to them. And in that way, malalaman nila na, they can feel this, that they're genuinely interested to them. Na talagang happy sila. And through that, no, when we do active listening, they could imitate this to other people as well. Kasi na-feel nila naramdaman nila yun eh. So they could also do this to others. They could mirror it as well, no? 4 is read empathy building books. For children's ages 0 to 2 years old, siguro maganda yung may mga appropriate books tayo for them. Yung may mga themes of values, no? Gaya ng empathy, honesty, values of kindness, compassion, no? This is very powerful to teach children about emotions and compassion. So, siguro, try din natin i-limit din yung mga nababasa nila. Yung mga themes that they're reading, especially yung sa social media, yung sa videos, iPads nila or whatsoever. Number 5, encourage acts of kindness. So fostering empathy involves understanding into action. So we encourage the child to do good, no? Acts of kindness both within your family and their wider community. So pinapractice nyo sila paano gumawa ng magandang asal, no? Both sa school and pwede rin naman sa family, no? Inside the family. Discuss feelings openly. When your child expresses their own emotions, whether positive or negative, you try to acknowledge and validate your feelings. Like, let's say, for example, why do you feel frustrated? Okay, bakit, no? Ano bang nangyari? How do you feel, no? I understand we don't want to feel frustrated. We don't want to feel sad. But it happens, no? You discuss feelings openly for the child to understand his or her own emotion. Especially pag nagtatantrums. It can be challenging, no? It can be challenging, but try it. No? Subukan ninyo. Ma-process niyo yung emotion ng bata para maintindihan niya. Saan ba nanggagaling yung emotions niya? Number 7, you limit exposure to violence. So, yung may mga themes ng killing, murder, ganyan, i-limit ninyo. Kasi nakaka-influence yun sa values din ng bata. No? Limit their exposure to violent or aggressive content. Number 8 is you resolve conflicts positively. So, teach children that conflict resolution strategies that emphasize empathy and compromise. So, make them understand also that conflicts could be resolved in a more positive manner. Hindi yung nag-aaway-away lang kayo. Pwede sila mag-meet halfway. Pag may nakalaban siya, ganyan. So, allow them to resolve these conflicts ng maayos dun sa person or dun sa batang iyon. Okay? Number 9 is you support their interest and hobbies. So you encourage children to pursue hobbies and interests that allows them to connect with others and build empathy. So you become a supporter into their interests and hobbies. Like sports, arts, music, no? Yung mga bagay na yun. In that way, they could connect with the world, no? They could connect with others as well. They could build friends. They could make friends, no? Pag may mga interests and hobbies sila. Number 10, be patient and persistent. Raising a child is not easy. Oo, pag baby cute, no? Pero pag naging toddler na yan, magiging makulit talaga yan sila. Magiging unruly, no? May mga challenges talaga yan. May mga tantrums talaga yan. May mga demands sila. But when you're raising them properly, with values, kindness, and empathy, I'm sure paglaki nila, aanihin nila yan. 'Di ba? No? They will become people that you want them to be. Okay? So in the workplace, why empathy is important in the workplace? Empathy in the workplace is the ability to understand towards your colleagues and being sensitive to their unique perspective, work styles, and ideas. Through this, we could establish more emotional connection to one another that can foster the productivity of the team or the workforce, that could foster their well-being, their motivation to stay at work, no? Importante talaga to. Next is, this is how we could communicate it in the workplace. You approach challenges from a different perspective, no? Kapag merong pinagdadaanan, yung isang yung isang worker or empleyado, try to challenge their own perspective. Number 2 is ask questions to understand. You clarify also. Ito ba yung ibig sabihin mo? Ito ba? Saan ba galing? Number 3, validate how the person is feeling. Okay, you try to validate na I understand, no, that it is difficult for you to work with this. Number 4, determine the preferred resolution. So, you will meet halfway also with the person, no? This is very effective kapag supervisor ka or kapag boss ka, no? You also try to meet halfway with your boss or with your supervisor and with the employee, no? Number 5, develop your listening skills. Kailangan naman talaga natin na merong makinig sa atin. Yun ang yung gusto natin. Listening is really important, no? In negotiations, in building connections and communication with other people. Number 6, you offer to help, no? 7, you challenge your biases. Yung perspektibo mo, hindi lang ito effective at all cost. Meron din silang point, no? You respect also their point of view. Number 8, you remember people's names. Mahalaga to kasi para bang merong reflection or naiintindihan ng isang person, ng empleyado, na vinavalue siya. Kasi kilala siya by name. Number 9, giving people your full attention in meetings. No? Kapag may isang nagsasalita, full ears kayo, no? Pinapakinggan without interruptions. Number 10, be curious about your lives and interests. Sometimes, through this, you could build similarities and connections with people. Like, ganito, ganyan. No? Nagkakaroon ng bonding. Nagkakaroon ng friendship, kumbaga, sa workplace. Number 11, you offer constructive feedbacks. No? Constructive feedbacks is important to help a person redirect his or her own behavior in work. No, you give constructive feedback to help the person improve himself. Might it be sa work or personal niya. Okay? So, constructive feedback. No? Try to communicate this in the most kindness, the best way possible. Para hindi naman niya ma-misconstrue or ma-miscommunicate. No? So, yun yung importante. So, how do we foster effective empathy to our partners? No? So, jowa natin, wife, and husband. So, empathy is all about understanding where your partner is coming from. And one of the best ways to do this is to ask questions. When you ask questions, you show that you're interested in learning more about them, in understanding them. Okay? And it also allows you to understand better how you're feeling or how they're feeling at the same time. So, make listening to your partner a priority. Hindi mo sila ini-interrupt kapag may sinasabi sila. Number 1 here is make eye contact and focus on what your partner is saying. Maganda, mahalaga yung eye contact, no? Sa eye contact, mas nagpapakita to ng genuineness, ng interest mo, that you're really listening towards the person. Number 2 is don't interrupt or talk over them. Kapag may sinasabi pa sila, especially sa mga arguments, or kapag may mga shortcomings kayo, you just try them to verbalize first what they're feeling or their experience. No? Respeto din yun on the other person. 'Di ba? Respeto mo rin yun sa kanya bilang partner mo. Number 3, you paraphrase what they've said to ensure you understand it correctly. So, yung paraphrasing na sinasabi ko, kapag may mga hindi klaro, no, pwede mong i-paraphrase. Ito ba yung ibig sabihin mo kanina, yung hindi tayo do you feel like this, like that? Para hindi rin ma-miscommunicate. Para makuha mo talaga sakto yung message, yung feeling niya, no, on that situation na nag-away kayo or kung ano man yung nangyari. Number 4, ask questions to clarify any unclear points. So, yung pagtatanong din, it shows interest, no? Na gusto mo talagang mapakinggan or gusto mong magets yung pinagdadaanan niya. At the same time, you want to get the full message, no? Hindi yung may mga loopholes. Number 5 is you show genuine interest in what they have to say. Okay, number 6, resist the urge to give advice or share opinions unless asked. They have their own narrative, they have their own experience. Sometimes when they're sharing something, meron silang pananaw na hindi mo pa makuha. Or ito yung feeling niya. So, kapag nagbibigay ka kasi ng advice, minsan kasi yung message nito is more of we are trying to dictate them that ito yung dapat nilang gawin. Sometimes, we could give advice, but recommendations. You could do this, no? What if itry mo na ganito, ganyan? But yung mga advice na dapat ganito, ganyan, no? Hindi mo na sila naiintindihan actually sa pinagdadaanan nila. Kasi para bang hindi mo pa nagigets yung full story, pero you are giving this already. No? So, siguro, recommendations. No? Number 7, thank you your partner for sharing their thoughts and feelings with you. Mahalaga to, no? Mahalaga, no? Thank you for sharing this to me, your frustration. Thank you for being vulnerable to me. In that way, mas mabibuild yung mutual trust, understanding ng bawat isa, yung love ng bawat isa, yung emotional connection, no? Thank you your partner. Appreciate that, no? Appreciate that. Yung gesture niya na nagiging vulnerable siya sa'yo, na nagiging, na nagpapakita siya ng weak side, kumbaga, sa'yo. Pasalamatan ninyo. So ito naman, how empathy affect our spiritual life. So empathy is a virtue. It's a way of life and being. So spiritual empathy is not really that a state of mind, but a state of being. No, ito na yung how you live your life. Ito na yung way or manner of daily living, a way of living in which our mind unites in relationship with our emotions in an equal partnership. Generally, spirituality is an attunement with life itself. Your spiritual life, this will reflect your overall life. So for me, empathy is really a virtue na kailangan nating i-live day by day, no? Hindi lang sa mga situations. Okay, I read this wonderful text. Please, I want you to read this one. Something to reflect spiritually. When we listen to our lives through our logical thinking, ginagamit natin isip natin, di ba? We're listening to life through the intelligence of our mind. No? Logical, rational. But when we listen to our lives through our emotions, we're listening to life through the intelligence of our heart. Puso, no? We use this, not this. We need both, not one at the expense of the other. And empathy sits at the very core of our ability to engage with life from both our heart as well as our mind. In this world we have right now, hindi mahalaga or hindi helpful kung puro utak lang yung ating ginagamit. Hindi naman tayo masaya. Tama nga, ba't hindi naman tayo masaya? 'Di ba? At hindi naman helpful kung puro heart lang yung ginagamit natin, 'di ba? Hindi naman din tayo nag-iisip ng maayos. Hindi naman siya ganun ka-objective. Both this heart and mind should go hand in hand. They should meet halfway for us to live in this world. We need also to feel happy, but at the same time, we also need to think if this is the right, the right decision, the right thing to do. In our adult lives, the meeting of our mind and our emotions is one of the most influential relationships we will ever have. So this is a practice, again, virtue, no? Okay, what is a spiritual purpose of empathy? Spiritual empathy transforms our ability to relate with our full experience of life and at the level of mindful and conscious awareness. No, we are aware of ourselves. We are aware of what's happening to other people. It's a universal, greater intelligence of which we are integral and dynamic part of our humanity and existence. So for me, for us here, practice this one. Practice empathy. Thank you so much, and may we normalize the act of empathy and compassion to this world. A quote from Alfred Adler: empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, listening with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and that's the end of my talk. Have a wonderful day.